So we are talking about various organizational structures, and we have discussed two of the varieties of organizational structure, that is functional and product. So moving ahead, the third category in this discussion is called matrix organization. Am I audible to you? Right. So the third category is matrix organization. As you can see the slides here. So the name is matrix. So you can see there are rows and columns. Clearly distinct lines are drawn. So there will be horizontal lines as well as vertical lines looking like a matrix. And you will find that most of the organization in the present time looks like some sort of matrix organization. Of course, practically, if you look at the organizational structure of any company, see they are hardly bound by the kind of academic discussions we are making. Means they are not bound to follow either functional or product. They are free to design their own workforce and manpower or human resource, as we call it. So again, maybe practically, if we'll pick up the organizational structure of any company, you may not exactly able to identify which category it is belonging, means so it is functional or product or something else, because they are free to design their own distribution. But what is the thing that will get out of that is it may be a mix of that, right? There may be some functional divisions, there may be some product-based divisions, maybe some area-based divisions, or maybe project-based divisions, or maybe kind of their geographical location-based divisions like Asia or Asia Pacific or Europe. So it depends that what kind of organization we are talking about and how they distribute their manpower according to that. But yes, these are the basic things you should start with to have a better planning for your organizational structure. So matrix organization, as I told you, that it looks like a matrix, and there are some horizontal lines which are at the same level of authority and responsibility, as well as there is a vertical line which is just follows some chain of command, means there is a authoritative line of action. So that is vertical. See, look at this figure here. What you can make out is horizontally, you have three horizontal lines for project manager A, project manager B, project manager C. And vertically, we have very typical functional distribution, right? Manager finance, manager production, manager personnel, manager marketing, manager R&D. So these are all functional distribution. So in case of matrix organization, this thing happens that there will be the conventional functional division of the workforce. At the same time, there will be some division based on maybe project, as in this case, it is divided based on the projects. It's not necessary. Always the matrix organization will follow a kind of project-based division. If it is not project-oriented company, then maybe based on some kind of their business line, right? Product, it can be product, like as you know, product-based division or structure is like for food products, pharmaceutical products, cosmetics, IT products, things like that. So here, you have to understand that matrix is just a kind of a combination, means it is a hybrid of your functional as well as some kind of division. It may be product-based division, it may be project-based division, or it may be some kind of geographical location countries. So they may be dividing that workforce based on that based on area, location, or country or continent. So matrix organization represents this kind of structure. For example, those companies which are highly project oriented. As I used to give the L&T comes to my mind first, because that is a typical example of a project oriented organization company, because at the same time they may have multiple projects going on simultaneously, and once they complete a project, they disband its workforce, then they start another project somewhere else. So this way they are project oriented companies, and you can see this kind of structure will be very much suitable for them. Like you can see, suppose project manager A may be standing here for a particular project, right, which is going on in some location, and similarly project manager B, C, D, like that. So what happens actually, how they distribute? So under the project manager A, right, people move horizontally towards the right. You can see it is connected with finance, production, personnel, marketing, and R&D functional. So under the project manager A, there will be group of people deputed from each of these parent departments for the project. So this is how it works. For example, suppose there is a project going on in some location, let us say Himachal Pradesh. The project is going on, right? That is project A. So the project manager will be responsible for that, and he will be deputed with some staffs. Sorry. So he will be allotted some staffs deputed from different functional departments, like a group of person from finance, group of person from production or HR, then marketing, then R&D. So they will be deputed for that project period only. So they may have to either locate to that Himachal Pradesh, and they will work under, they will take orders from project manager A, as long as that project is going on. Means once it is complete, then they will come back to their parent organization, or maybe headquarter, you can say. So similarly for project manager B, project manager C, so they will utilize the functionalities of the current company for that project purpose. So you can replace this project with product also, right? Suppose there is a product manager for some product, right, FMCG. There is another product manager for some other service, IT service. Another product manager maybe for hospitality sector. So similarly, depending on the kind of business or kind of products, or maybe location, as I said. So there can be a manager for India, a manager for China, things like that. So this way they design their matrix structure. And as I said, as I used to see some real life organizational structures. So in most of the cases, I found that for multinationals or for companies which are having diversified business, they have presence in many fields. So they used to have a structure similar to this. But as I said, it may not be exactly what we are discussing, because this is bookish kind of structure. But practically, they are free to design their structure as per their convenience and interest, right? So this is about the matrix structure. I hope it is clear to you. Let us see what are the advantages of this kind of structure. There are several advantages. Okay, just a second. Okay. There are several advantages to using the matrix organization structure. One benefit of this structure is that it allows cross collaboration between the staff and departments that may not always have opportunity to work together, right? So what is this point? This point is that let us say for a project A, right, a group of people from finance, group of people from R&D, from production, from other departments that you are dealing with are deputed for the project. So they maybe have to locate to a new location and work together, right, for that project. So this creates a kind of cross collaboration, right, better communication, compared to a pure functional organization where you are working in isolation. There is very less chance of communication and collaboration. So this is one of the advantages for matrix structure. So that is the first point you can see here. Collaboration between different departments. So there's a kind of better communication and collaboration happens because of this nature. It combines project and functional management structure. So as I said, it is a kind of hybrid or combination of functional as well as product based organism. So this product is replaced with project here. They are almost synonyms here because you can divide your workforce based on product or project also, or even employees can develop new skills. Team members and managers keep their functional roles. So these are some of the advantages. What are the disadvantages of this kind of structure? The matrix structure may sometimes be difficult in achieving total structure in an environment where managers hold equal superiority over their shared team members. Additionally, team members might have misconceptions about how they are expected to divide their time between their functional duties and their project responsibility. There can sometimes be several key disadvantages. Okay, so what is the main disadvantages from the perspective of employees or workers, right? The main disadvantage is that in this structure, you most often you will have dual boss, dual heads. Who are the two bosses? One boss is your original boss, who is your functional head, right, from your parent company. And at the same time, for a temporary period, if you are deputed for a project, you will have another head, another boss for certain time, although maybe few months or years. But this kind of dual heads or dual superior may create some kind of dilemma for the employees that they may have to maybe take some orders, whom to give the priority. Suppose someone is deputed, but at the same time, the functional head, means the parent organization's head, called him and gave some assignment, which is he claimed that it is very urgent, right? But just a hypothetical situation. So you are part of your functional head, functional department from where you have deputed. You cannot say that I am completely, deputed and I will not take any order from my original head. So in that situation, suppose you are giving priority to your functional head and you are doing the assignments given by him, then at the same time you have another boss in your project or in your physical location, geographical location. So he may have some kind of clash with the timing and efforts you are putting in. So this is another disadvantage with the matrix structure. The employees find that they are having dual boss, right, compared to any other structure. Here the employees feel that they are working under two bosses, and it is maybe difficult for them to cope with that. So this is one of the disadvantages. Manager roles, it is also similar. Manager roles may not be clearly defined because there are multiple managers now. So the manager role may not be clearly defined. Team roles may not be clearly defined. Again, there can be some kind of confusion in the teams that is being formed, and maybe it is not clear. The decision-making process can be slowed down because again, it is related with multiple heads. So decision-making may be slowed down. Too much work can cause overload. So as you can understand, the employee is subjected to excessive workloads, right? So it is in matrix structure. So they may have to locate somewhere, then they have to take the order from there to do the assignments there. At the same time, they have some assignments in their original post. So this kind of workload is more compared to the traditional functional or product-based organizations. Measuring employee performance might become difficult. Yes, this is also a byproduct of that. So when you have two buses, there may be some clever employees. They will exploit it, right? They will say, my past boss is giving me a lot of assignments I am not doing, so he will take the excuse from the second boss, right? And the same thing you will apply to the first boss. So this is a situation where you cannot exactly judge the performance of a person, right? Because he's taking order from different sources. So these are some of the disadvantages of matrix organization. Okay, before moving ahead for the pure project organization, I had to add something here, and I may add a figure also later on, which is missing now. There is another structure which is just a kind of a modification in the matrix organization structure. Right? That is called modified matrix organization. Just modified matrix organization. What is a small difference? Is disconnected. Am I audible? Okay, I thought it is disconnected. So this matrix organization structure, what I'm talking here is there is something which is called a modified matrix organization structure. Modified is a small change you have to implement in this structure, then it will become modified matrix. See what exactly happens. Now you see, you think about the kind of burden this fellow general manager is bearing, right? General manager, right? In this particular figure, he may be CEO or CMD in some other company. So this GM is taking the reports from all the managers which are functional managers, right? They are directly reporting to him. Finance, production, personnel, marketing, everyone is directly reporting to general manager, right? At the same time, look at the figure. These project managers, right? Suppose there are 7, 8 projects going on. For example, a company like Mecon or L&T, at the same time, they may have maybe 10 or more than that number of projects. So these project managers are also there is a line which is connecting directly to the GM. So they are reporting to the GM also. They are not reporting to these functional heads. The project managers will report directly to the GM as per this figure. Right. So what I'm talking about is the kind of mental stress or decision making stress that this general manager will face will be enormous, isn't it? So modified matrix structure is a kind of a small modification that is made in this structure just to relax the GM from the burdens of these project managers, individual project managers. So what happens here that you will just add a block just parallel to these functional managers, you just add a block here, right? You may give any designation like manager projects, right? Manager projects. In many companies, you will find such a designation is there. I remember someone who was manager projects in Cell Bhilai. Anyway, so in each and every company which are project oriented, they will have a post called manager, yeah, chief manager projects. So designation is not fixed. It can vary from company to company, but you have to understand what is the role. So that person will be placed at a par with these functional managers, right? So just a block add here, and you add all these project manager A, B, C, D to that person. So his role is to listen or take the problems from all these individual project managers and then pass on that to the general manager periodically. So that's why what happens, this general manager will get some relaxation from individual project managers. So this way also it works, right? So that is called modified matrix. That is matrix, but modified because these individual project managers will now not directly report to the chief. They will report to their head. So he is the head for the project. And if it is based on some kind of product division or area wise division, then also there will be some intermediate person between the chief and the managers, so that he can lessen the burden of decision making for the general manager. So more the persons report to a person, so that increases its burden, in the sense that it will have higher risk of taking the decisions, and decision making always creates the burden. So in some classes back, I told you what exactly a typical manager does. It takes some decision. That's all. Now that decision, how nicely he is taking the decision, or on how good that decision proved to be, decides his fate. Right? If he has taken some wrong decisions which have some consequences in terms of finance or any other brand reputation or something, so he is answerable. He is accountable. That why you have taken that decision. You have to justify it. So each and every time, once a person is taking a chair, has to take the decisions only, nothing else. Now the decision is based on the kind of information, knowledge, or maybe uh, decision taking power or character he is having, so that it will be reflected in that decision. Right. So more the people, when the span of control is large, so more people are reporting to you. So obviously you will be under more stress to make the good decisions. So there may be mistakes in that case if it is high in number, the span of control is large. So just to lessen the burden, so there is something called modified matrix organization. I'll give you a small figure for that when I'll share this slide with you at the end. But for the time being, you understand there is something called modified matrix. Okay, let us proceed. Next one is called something called pure project organization structure. Okay, it's not very different from your functional organization, but why it is called pure project organization? Depending on the requirement, right? Depending on the requirement, suppose you have a temporary project only. For example, suppose you are having a project for election campaigning or production of a movie, right? It's just a kind of a temporary endeavor, and for which you don't have any functional organization or setup for that, but you are just forming an structure by dividing your workforce or people which are at your disposal to carry out that task. That is a pure project organization structure. So you can see here there is nothing special. There will be a project manager, and below him, based on functionalities, you are dividing. Maybe a function for design. Under design, there will be many people. There is engineering. Below, there are some people, research, procurement, production. So this is called pure project. You have to add a term pure before the project, right? It's called pure project organizational structure. Okay, so it has got some advantages. The obvious advantage of project structure is that one have more control over the team. Teams can have a strong sense of identity. It is the easiest structure within which to create a strong team culture. The whole team is focused on the team's goal. As I gave you some examples, presently 2 examples are coming to my mind. That is, suppose there is an national level election is going on and you are handling it. So it is a typical example of a pure project organization, right? Or maybe you are producing a high budget Bollywood movie. That can be a pure project organization. So as you can see the line here, that there will be a complete sense of identity, and there will be a whole team is focused on the team's goal, right? Isn't it? All the people try to make the movie a successful movie. All the people try to make the candidate who is taking your help to win it, right? So that kind of psychology will be there among the whole team, because they all work towards some goal, right? That is project organization. So conflict of loyalty exists with the day job for the people working in the project. Their day job is the project. Resources are dedicated to the project, so it is much easier to schedule your work. Projects run in this structure are great environments for improving project management skills as well as more technical leadership skills. So it is for very temporary and very once in a while kind of project, and you are just working for the same goal. Maybe it is somewhat like a mission to send some satellite, launch some satellite, that kind of situations. So all the people work in a kind of unison for the same goal, same mission. That kind of mindset is there among all the people. They don't feel that we are part of some company and we are doing a job, whether you work or not, you are going to be paid. That mindset is not there, right? There is some kind of belongingness, some kind of passion for that work. So that is pure project. Okay, some disadvantage, you can see the project structure is the easiest to work with, but still has some drawbacks. Having a team dedicated to one project is an expensive commitment. It tends to be an option only on big projects. Okay. Okay, the second one is interesting. If you remove people from their functional jobs, they might find it difficult to go back, especially if the project is long. Project work stretches you. So returning to your previous role after working in a multidisciplinary environment on a new challenging project is not an appealing prospect for many people. Thus, managing the transition of the team when you close a project becomes even more important. Sometimes closing a project can mean losing jobs if the business has moved on and another role is not available. Okay, so these are some disadvantages from the perspective of the people who are engaged in that project. See, try to understand this, what it says. Suppose are the kind of examples I gave you. For example, election campaigning, right? So, okay, as long as this campaigning is going on, people are definitely nicely paid for that. But what after that campaigning is over or the election results are over? What about their employer? I mean, their job? They are jobless now. You have to fire them. You have to fire them. So similar things may happen if they are not attached with any I mean permanent kind of job. Then these situations may happen. Similarly, if you are having a project organization which is where the people are connected with some functional roles earlier, and that if that project is going on for a long period of time, then maybe they may feel they will not be, I mean, they will have some issues to go back to their parent organization because they have worked for a particular project for a long time. So that they may hesitate to go back to their original roles. That is also a kind of disadvantages. Otherwise, it is okay. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the fifth one, right? This is the fifth one under the category of projects. The first is functional organization, second is product organization, third is matrix organization, fourth is modified matrix organization, and this fifth is pure project organization. Then there is another organization structure that is called departmental project organization structure, right? Here you have to add the prefix departmental, but in the previous case it was pure project organization. Now it is departmental project organization. This is applicable, as you can understand from the name itself, it is applicable to those situations where suppose there is an organization company and they want to start some new project and they want to also implement it or execute it without any external help, right? Using their own expertise, they have the expertise, they know how to complete this project, they have their own employees or workforce, but they just have to plan it. So that is called a departmental project. So these things mostly happen in companies in which they just want to expand some facilities or build some new structures. So they have the facilities, equipments, everything. So they, in that case, they will just extend some workforce for that particular project for a particular time, that is for the schedule of the project, and that is called a departmental project organization. So as you can see in this figure here for organization structure, suppose these are your functional departments, right? You have production, marketing, finance, human resource. So these are functional departments. So what you are doing out of this production department group, there are some people who are deputed for project A, right? Similarly for marketing, some people are dedicated or deputed for project B. Likewise, or other departments, whichever kind of functionality is required for your project. And remember, it is the project that you are doing, means the company itself is doing, investing and using their own resources. There is hardly any external help is used for that, but your own workforce is used and deputed for the project. So that is called a departmental project organization. Right. So it's a temporary effect, and once that project will be complete, they will again rejoin their parent roles, their original office, and things will go on. So this is called departmental project organization. So depending on the situation, suppose a company wants to have their own project without any external help, and they are sure that they have the capability and capacity. So in that case, they will restructure their human resource according to this. Right? Is this clear? Okay, now let us have some discussion. As you have seen, there are many organizational structures which are possible, right? Each is having its own pros and cons, and it exhibits some kind of, nature of its effect on the employees and overall performance of the organization, because different organizational structures will give different kind of motivation or kind of mindset to the people, right? If you suddenly change the work structure, the organizational structure, you'll find there is huge impact on the psyche of the people working there. So it's not that you can adopt any structure which you like. You have to look which structure is best for you. So what are the factors, how the company decides that what kind of structure will be work best for them? That is also important. So the first factor that influence the organizational structure is the size of the company and the development stage, right? Company size and development stage. Like smaller companies or new businesses like startups often have to operate with an all hands on deck mentality where everyone has to wear several different hats. In that case, it does not make sense to have different tiers of managers if there are not even enough employees to make up different departments. Right? I hope you got it. Somewhere I will discuss this. This is called organic structure, which is in contrast with the mechanistic structure, where you do not have any clear-cut authoritative line or chain of command. Everyone thinks they are at par with the other, and they work as a team. I'm talking about the startup culture. So maybe there are few people who started the idea and the initial made the initial investment, but they team up with others and they create a kind of environment in which they feel like colleagues and they work together. So it is not similar to the structure we are talking about, which are very formal, mechanistic, where there is a clear-cut distinction about your designations. You cannot pass on your superiors without proper, route and all that. So it's the size of the company, and usually for SMEs, right? Or MSMEs, the micro, small, medium enterprises, right? So SMEs or maybe the startups. So there the number of employees are few, maybe hardly there 10, 20 persons are there. So in that structure, if we will adopt this kind of hierarchy, right? He's the boss of this person, then he have to report to him. So that kind of culture, then it may not be that much productive, right? It may not be that much productive compared to a kind of teamwork, right? But as the company grows larger, right? Now you have 100 or 200 employees working. So you need to have some kind of order in that workforce. Order is very important. And then you cannot have a team of 100 persons working for the company. There will be some conflict. There will be some issues. After all, they are human beings. We all have egos. We all have feelings and emotions. So you cannot just consider all the people as the same group. You need to have order in that workforce, discipline. So for that, you have to develop some organizational structure which is suitable for your kind of business. So as the company grow larger, add more specialized roles. There will have some specialized roles, right? Someone is good at accounting, financing. Someone is good at designing. So there's a specialization. There is the expertise or division of labor is there. So you cannot work in a team, or rather you have to make some structure. So adding a hierarchical structure with managers and departmental heads becomes a help, means it becomes useful. It would be inefficient for a general manager or CEO to have hundreds or even thousands of employees report to him or her directly, isn't it? So that is what I said. Suppose there are hundreds or thousands of employees in your company, you cannot say that all the thousand you report to the CEO in case of any problem. So that is not going to work. You need to have some kind of order, some kind of discipline, some kind of organization in the workforce. So for that reason, you have to set the authority, the responsibility, and all these things that we are discussing in the organizational structure, and that gives you the maximum productivity of each and every employee, and that is the best way. Okay, so first factor is company size and development stage. Second is business strategy, right? Business strategy is what that company is looking up to, right? What are its objective and goals, right? Each company must have some goals. They may state it or they may not state it. So according to their goal, suppose some company has made a goal that we want to become the market leader within 5 years, or we want to diversify into these areas, or we want to have a presence in various states or countries, right? So maybe some objective is there. So according to that objective, they will set some strategies. Strategies are actually the plans or tactics to reach the goals, right? So they'll look into their competitors, how they are working, so what kind of strategy they will adopt so that they will succeed. So according to their business strategy also, they reframe, they redesign, or they form their organizational structure. Okay, so this is the first point. You can see how could the organizational structure enhance the company objectives. So company objectives are there. Each and every company works with some objectives, right? It is maybe in the mind of the board of directors. They may not spell it openly, but they have some objectives. It will be reflected in their business, in their actions. So according to that, they will plan their structure. For example, software development is an industry where flexibility and speed of innovation is paramount for staying ahead of the competition. Cross-functional teams work well in this industry because of the need for rapid iteration that would be difficult if each department work individually. So just gave you the example of the IT sector or software development industry. There you need to have a better cross-functional teams. If they work in isolation like military organizations, it is not going to have any interest for the company, right? So for rapid iteration and innovations, they need to have cross-functional communication and cooperation. So in that case, they will go for that kind of structure which encourages cross-functional dealings. For companies offering different products or services, each product or service might require very different strategies and thereby result in distinct subdivisions. So there is another example maybe. Suppose a company is dealing with varieties of product or services where each product or service is of completely different nature and it needs a different kind of approach, right, or strategy for its success. So you cannot club all together, right? You have to isolate them. So maybe you will go for matrix structure or maybe product-based structure, so that will be you can give proper attention to each and every product or service which are very different from each other. So the second factor is, what is your business strategy? According to the business strategy, you have to design your workforce or organizational structure. Next is location. Companies across all industries have to consider how they will handle employees who work from home, employees in satellite offices or international offices, partners, freelancers, and the many complexities of 21st century workplace. These are not just logistical questions, but important organizational considerations. Okay, so what is this point speaks is, uh, talking about these multinational companies which are having presence in many countries, right? Many countries means it brings in different kind of requirements and problems or challenges. So there may be some people, some employees who prefer to work from home. Some employees are in satellite offices, right? Some are with international offices, right? Some are freelancers. So how to design a framework or maybe the organizational structure which will be applicable or will be conducive to these kind of situations when your company is spread across various geographical locations, right? Suppose you have only business in a particular city, right? Just a contrasting example. Suppose your whole business is limited to a particular city. All your 500 employees or 1,000 employees are in that city only, right? Nobody is living outside. All are working from there, that place only. Then the organizational structure will be quite different when your workforce is distributed among many countries or even many states, right? So to have a good control over them, because they have to report, they have to you have to check their performance, whether they are working or not, what is their output. So for each and everything you have to design the structure in such a way that you can monitor and control the whole workforce properly, because your whole employees are not staying in a single location, they are spread across. So that way you have to again redesign your organization structure according to that. Similar thing is there with culture. Again, it is applicable when you have employees of different cultures. You think about companies which are multinational, like let us say this Google or Amazon. See the different kinds of people working there. There are different cultures. Huge difference is there in that culture, right? So how to accommodate all these people of different cultures and beliefs and still getting the best out of them, right? So you cannot have a very simple organizational structure which will work for each of them. So what the company want its employees to think or feel when they come to work, and how can the team structure make that happen? While seemingly intangible, there are a lot of concrete factors that affect a company's brand, benefits and activities, workspace arrangement, and values, to name a few. Which means that one can be purposeful in creating the kind of culture that the firm want for its employees. Although a hierarchy will be a stable, predictable environment for people to work in, however, in flat hierarchy with very little upper management allows for more genuine collaboration, employee-driven problem solving, and creativity. Some companies push this to having no hierarchy whatsoever to intensify that collaborative, self-driven spirit in all their employees. See, the meaning is that, as I said, all whether all the people which are working in your company are from the same cultural background or different. That is the main question. If they are from the same cultural background, then they will have same kind of beliefs, same kind of characteristics, right? Nature, manners, compared to the organization in which the people that you are hiring are from completely different cultures and beliefs, right? So according to that, how to design or frame your organizational structure so that you can get best out of them. If you apply the same rule for all the people who are from different cultures, then it can become counterproductive for some also. So that is the point. That is the factor here. Okay, I think this is the last factor. Yes, this is the last factor. Let me complete it today. That is regarding technology. How technology is also considered as a factor which decides your organizational structure. So advances in technology make it easier than ever to track various metrics, collect and analyze information, and communication with others. These are not just convenient, they change how business operate. how can the company use technology to become more efficient and streamline the organization? See, these technology nowadays at the present time has made a big change in the organizational structure. Let me give the examples of the kind of connectivity you are getting now, right? Imagine that maybe 20 years back, right? How easy it is now for the top management to get to track the performance of their each and every employee in a work from home mode. They are also getting the same work output from the person or the employee who is maybe sitting at his village and doing the work. This is possible only because of technology. Now, these kind of changes also brings the structural change in their organization, right? So in that way, you can make changes in the organizational structure to get best out of it. Not necessary that you will call the person physically to do the work somewhere, because it is possible because of technology, right? So this way. Similarly, the kind of communications now happening, it is so fast. So it is hardly matters where you are staying. So it is ultimately your output that matters. Of course, as long as you are doing these mental works or programming works, but for physical works, you have to do it. The move to have more virtual workplaces, which lowers costs, simpler communication and reporting also makes it possible for managers to oversee. Yes, this is the thing I was talking about. Now the manager can oversee more workers, right? By these virtual modes, right? They can track, they can monitor their performance, right? There are many technologies which are also can be used to measure their metrics. Metrics means some kind of indices for their performance, or see, they can make use of this data analytics, whether they are present or absent, for what time they are in login mode and everything like that. So technology is also playing as a factor to decide the kind of organizational structure that you can make compared to the time when there was no such technology, right? There is a factor here. All right, so these are some factors which affects the organizational structure you should follow. And okay, that's it for today. Do you have anything to ask or add?